Hello friends, welcome back to Cosmopolitan Cornbread. So today I am going to be making a jelly recipe. I have not made jelly in what feels like forever. And the main ingredient for this jelly is apple cider. You cannot get any more of a nostalgic autumn flavor than apple cider. It makes me think of when I was a little girl and my mom and my grandmother and my sister and I would go to a local orchard and pick apples until we could not pick any more apples. We would eat apples till we couldn't eat any more apples. And we always finished our apple picking adventure with fresh apple cider. And so the recipe that we're going to make today is a caramel apple cider jelly, and you are going to love it. So let's get started. All right, so for this recipe, I've already measured out 5 cups of apple cider, and this is just natural, unfiltered apple cider. You want to make sure that when you buy apple cider that the only ingredients is apples. I've got a cup of brown sugar, which is what gives this jelly a caramel sort of flavor. I have 1.75 ounces of low or no sugar pectin. I have a lemon for some zest that we're going to need. I've got some cloves. I have cinnamon sticks. And then we're just going to need some regular granulated sugar. So I'm going to go ahead and measure out 2 cups of just regular white granulated sugar. I'm going to put it in this dish here. We'll go ahead and get this out of the way. Now I'm going to take a 1/4 cup of this sugar and I'm going to put it in a separate dish along with the pectin. And I'm just going to take a little whisk and I'm just going to very carefully mix this all together. And what this does is it helps prevent the pectin from clumping when you put it into your pot of boiling cider or other ingredients for jellies. When you use this low sugar pectin, it has a tendency to want to clump up, and this helps prevent that. Okay, so those are nice and mixed. Now I have a little muslin spice bag here, and in this I'm going to put a 1/2 teaspoon of whole cloves. If you absolutely hate cloves, you can omit them. I'm going to put them in here. I'm going to take my lemon here and my vegetable peeler, and I'm just going to shave off 2 strips of lemon peel. We're just getting the zest off of that. Right there, and we'll stick that in the bag too. Pull it tight. All right, now over here I've got my steam canner heating up, and I've got my jelly jars washed, inspected, and everything else. They're warming up as well. Now this recipe makes about 6 half-pint jars. So I put 6 half-pints in here along with 2 of the little bitty jars, 1/4 of a pint. That way if there's some extra, I have some little jars set aside and ready to put the jelly in. All right, so to our pot, we're going to add the 5 cups of apple cider. And we're going to put our spice bag full of cloves and lemon zest, along with 2 cinnamon sticks. Now, if you want, you could put these in your spice bag, but cinnamon sticks are pretty easy to find. They're kind of big. So I'm going to turn on my stove, and we're going to bring this mixture up to a boil. All right, so this has come up to a boil. We're going to go ahead and we're going to add in our sugar pectin mixture, and I'm going to stir while I do it. I'm just going to add it very slowly. Again, we want to discourage clumping. So we're going to bring this back up to a full boil. And remember, when you're making jellies and jams and things like this, you want to use a non-reactive pot. This pot that I'm using is stainless steel. You don't ever want to use aluminum or a reactive metal because it can make your food not taste good. It's back up to a boil. So now we're going to go ahead and add in the rest of our sugar. Granulated sugar and brown sugar. Whew. And then the last thing that I'm going to add, and this is optional, is a half a teaspoon of unsalted butter. And that helps prevent the jelly from foaming up. Now we're just going to keep on stirring this, and we're going to bring this back up to a rolling boil, and that means it's boiling so hard that stirring it doesn't make it stop. And once it gets to that stage, we'll boil it hard for 1 full minute, then we'll turn off the heat and jar it up. All right. We have got a good hard boil happening here. So I'm setting the timer for 1 minute. It smells so good in here right now, y'all. If you could only smell this. Well, you'll just have to make some so that you can smell it, right? Three, 2, 1. All right. So I'm going to turn off the heat. I'm going to grab one of my spoons out of the freezer. I'm going to check this, make sure it gels. Let that cool down. All right, let's see. Yep, we've got a good gel. See that there? Okay, so I'm gonna pull out the cinnamon sticks. I'm gonna pull out the spice bag. All right, so we're filling these jars up to 1/4 of an inch of headspace, which is the space from the top of the food, which is jelly in this instance, to the top of the jar. And this funnel I have has a nice little gauge built into it so that you can see exactly where you're at. Okay. And take our little debubbler. Probably don't really need this when it comes to jelly like this, but you can do it just the same. Dip my little wet rag in vinegar, give it a wipe. Grab a lid out of the hot water. I do preheat my lids, even though they say you don't have to. Put on a ring, finger tight, and back to the canner. And we're going to do this with all of the jelly. All right, so I got almost 6 half-pint jars. I knew I was getting close, so I went ahead and I filled one of the smaller quarter-pint jars, and I had that much left, which is perfect to give this a try. And let me tell y'all, it tastes so good. We're gonna go ahead and put the lid on. Of course, this is a high acid recipe, so whether you are using a steam canner like I am or a hot water bath canner, the processing time is the same. It's 10 minutes. So I'm going to let my steam canner come up to temperature, and then I'll start the timer for 10 minutes. And while it is doing its thing, I'm going to tidy up. All right, you guys, so that is taking apple cider and turning it into an amazing jelly. Of course, I tasted it when I did the gel test, and it is phenomenal. If you would like to make this recipe, you can get a printable version of it on my website, cosmopolitancornbread.com. I'll put a link directly to that in the video description down below. And for now, we're just going to let the jars sit here on the cooling mat. And then tomorrow, I will remove the rings, test the seals. If there's any lids that did not seal properly, it would go straight into the refrigerator, but I very rarely have a jar not seal. So after I test the seals, I will go ahead and wash off the outside of the jars just in case there's any stickiness. I like to do that when I make jellies or jams. Then we'll label the jars and stick them in the pantry. So that is it for today. Thanks for joining me here again in the Homestead Kitchen. My name is Constance from Cosmopolitan Cornbread, and I will talk to y'all next time.